Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. Hello. Good to see you all. Welcome, welcome. Good morning. Everybody's doing great at the beginning of this week on this Tuesday. Hello, hello. Hey, Jamie, good morning to you. Hope you're doing great. Hello. Good morning, friends. Hey, Karen, good morning to you. Hope you're doing great this morning. Everybody's having a good day. Hello, everybody. All right. Let's get going this morning. It is the 18th day of November on this Tuesday. Welcome on this to this 11/11. I hope you're having a great day and that there's beauty and goodness in it. Karen is doing chores. That is awesome. Good that and that there might be some beauty and peace in the midst of your day. So St. Paul writes this. This is a little bit different translation, so maybe hear it a little differently. But it says, you have to lay aside with your former habits, your old self, which is going to ruin. You must adopt a new attitude of mind and put on the new self, which has been created in likeness to God. This image of putting on a new self is I think, we can't really hearken it enough. We can't really talk about it enough, I think, because so much in our world now is about doing, getting better, right? I mean, the Beatles are getting better all the time. Like, that we're somehow called to get better. We're supposed to get better about all the things that whatever happens. That if we're sick, we're supposed to get better. If we're bad at playing the guitar, we're supposed to get better. If we're supposed to be in this constant cycle of improvement. And well, it didn't always used to be that way. That wasn't always the notion. And this idea, and I'm not against self-improvement. Don't hear me wrong. I'm not against this notion, but in many ways, there's in a lot of things in our life, there is this way in which we are going to fall down, we're going to fail, we're going to stumble, we're not going to be on this constant track of improvement, and even beyond, failures lead to successes. Even beyond that truth, what Paul is pointing us towards is actually foundationally different. It's foundationally different because he's saying there's an old self and that we're being made into a new self. Our old self is not being improved. We are being made into a new person. And that this is the process of life in which we're invited in this walk. Now, okay, how is that different? Because, well, think about it in terms of how we encounter maybe our failures or the way in which we're living. That it's not about improving, that I want to be in better shape than I used to be. That I want to live, but it's the idea that we might live in a new way, and that new way might actually mean new habits of taking care of our body or something like that. But it's not that I'm going from this old state to I'm going from I'm going to be better than I was. It's that I am going to be a new person, and that this is working itself in all kinds of ways. And what it does, and one of the things it does, is it liberates us from our failures, and not in the sense that our failures don't hurt. They certainly will, but it doesn't get us in this trap of seeking to be constantly in to constantly have W's on the board. Like everything has to be a win. So the great philosopher Epictetus says it this way. He says, "Do not seek to have everything that happens as you wish, but wish for everything to happen as it actually does happen, and your life will be serene." That as we kind of this kind of our old habits, our old self, are being made new, we're going to encounter things in this world that happen that we just don't like, that we just wish to be other than they were, and that might mean, that means we might be getting sick. It means we might something might happen to us that's entirely outside of our control. That there's all of these different things that can come into this. But the bottom line is, because we are being taken from this one place to another, because we are being formed in a new character, not an old character, because we are being formed in this new way, that we don't have to have everything go our way. We don't have to have everything that work out the way we want it to work out, because we can simply experience what happens. We can experience things when they fall down. We can experience the breaking of our bodies. We can experience the things that are, and not to say we like them and they're awesome, or we're just detached from these things, but we can understand that in the way in which we are being made new, that those things aren't the things that aren't the core, aren't the core pieces of what is going to get us there. I mean, here falls words. You have these former habits of your old self which are going to ruin. They're literally falling away. That as we walk this out with Jesus is taking these, we've got our hand, little paws clutched around something. You think, don't worry, you don't need that anymore. You don't need your avarice. You don't need your greed. You don't need your temper. You don't need your. He said, don't worry. I'll take that now. That these things, and that often, I think the case of what Epictetus is saying, often that happens in the case of when things don't go the way we want them to. Because as long as things go the way that we want them to, our old and former habits and our old self, it's going to be fat, dumb, and happy to just continue to be as it were. But there's these beautiful moments of how we are being drawn into the likeness of God that often happens when things are falling down. There's the old phrase, the old line of everything I ever let go of has claw marks on it. Well, and I feel that more often now than I do in many places. Even though we know that this new self is being made. The great Bernie Siegel, he was a cancer doctor, and he dealt with exceptional patients that had cancer, and he wrote a beautiful little book called Love, Medicine, and Miracles, and in it he writes, "One cannot get through life without pain. What we can do is choose how to use the pain life presents to us." And that when we understand ourselves, not having to be on this constant act and constant process of improvement, but when we understand ourselves being made new, being made a new person, being made the person that God has ordained us to be, that God is calling us into, this newness, we can understand that the challenges of our life, the hurt of our life, the brokenness of our life, the difficulties of our life, the challenges of our life actually offer something to us. They actually have something within them that we have a choice in our encounter with them to let them go, or to just see them and watch them and be in them, to experience them, even though they might be difficult and hard. But we can choose how to use this in the way it presents us. because it really is for our formation into newness. As we, we're just on the edge of this holiday season, and we're on the edge of all of these things. We're on the edge of Thanksgiving, and all of us, I think, are coming into the season with the portents of the season. There's always this bittersweet moment, right? There's always this wondrous and beautiful thing that is before us, but there's also the inevitable kind of empty chair, or there's the things that aren't the way they used to be, or there's the things that aren't. And if you're lucky enough to have some kids around, there's some ways in which you can see that through their eyes, and you can appreciate the beauty of it. But there's always, if you have any mileage under your keel at all, there is even if you're still pretty young, there is this way in which there can be these moments of it's not what it used to be. And we can fall into that nostalgia or that old self and that old habit and that old being. But the invitation is to say, not what are these holidays coming up, and look what's missing. Uncle Herbert isn't there. Look at what's missing. These things aren't there. These people aren't gathered around the table. Nobody's making the marshmallow fluff Jello mold. All the things that we can be so particular with the absences of what is coming up. We can actually miss what could be. We can actually look at the pain of life and begin to make some choices about what we will do with it. We can look at things that aren't going as we wish, but we can see them unfold as they are, and that in that we really can discover. I think this is the place in many ways that God works with us and deals with us to bring us that new attitude of life that Paul is talking about. As we close, I'll read it again to you. So maybe with this little journey, you can hear it with some new ears. You must lay aside the former habits of your old self, which is going to ruin. You must adopt a new attitude of mind and put on a new self, which has been created in likeness to God. Friends, there is a likeness to God that is within you. There is a likeness of God that is being drawn out of you. Like the statue David, when Leonardo da Vinci was asked, how did he carve that? He said, simple. I just looked at the block of marble and I took away all the things that wasn't the David. God is in the process of taking away all the things that are not you. Taking away all the things that are not truly your imago Dei, your image of God that is within you, your theosis, your raising up to be as God is. You're not being made better. You're being made new, and that the places that we can most encounter this newness is sometimes in those places where things just don't go as we wanted them to or as we wished. And we can encounter things that we never thought possible in us because God has blessed us with them and placed them there for us. All right, peace and grace to you, my friends, and we will pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.